You know, when people talk about music history, they usually talk about the artist. But behind every major artist, there's someone helping guide the business, the strategy, and the direction of their careers. Tonight's guest is one of those people who has helped shape the culture from behind the scenes, opening doors and creating opportunities during the early days of hip-hop. From working with Parliament Funkadelic to promoting some of the pioneers of hip-hop, he's played an important role in bringing the music to audiences across the country. Tonight, we're pulling back the curtain on the music business and hearing the stories behind some legendary careers. Let's get into it. Smoke and Ice begins next.
Smoke and ice, twice as nice. I'm your vice. Smoke and ice.
Welcome to Smoke and Ice with Kelly and Wayne. This is the podcast where you're not only informed, but entertained. Sit back, relax, and remember, where there's smoke, there's fire. And you can't chill without ice. Now, here are your hosts, Kelly Allen and Wayne McCullers.
Smoke and ice, twice as nice. Smoke and ice.
You have entered into another episode of Smoke and Ice, where smoke meets sophistication and ice meets intensity. I'm Kelly. Tonight we're joined by music executive, promoter, and industry pioneer Darryl Brooks, co-owner of CD Enterprises out of Washington, D.C. Darryl Brooks is recognized as one of the earliest hip-hop promoters in the United States, working alongside his partner Carol Kirkendale to bring some of the first major hip-hop tours and events to audiences. His journey began while working for a non-profit arts organization in Washington, D.C., where he booked Parliament Funkadelic for a fundraiser, a moment that would change the course of his career. The band was so impressed, they asked him to become their promoter, and that opportunity led to touring with legendary acts like Sugar Hill Gang, Grandmaster Flash, Dougie Fresh, and Big Daddy Kane. He also is the founder of I Hear Ya Entertainment, a label focused on delivering positive energy and showcasing emerging talent, including projects connected to the go-go scene and artists like Serious Company. Throughout his career, Darryl has also worked with influential acts, including the legendary hip-hop group Salt-N-Pepa, one of the most groundbreaking female rap groups in music history. Tonight, we're diving into the early days of hip-hop, artist management, music promotion, and the business decisions that helped shape the culture. Please help me welcome to Smoke and Ice, Darryl Brooks. Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Thank you very much. That was very nice.
Oh, you're so very welcome. You know, I just love giving people their flowers where it's due. And you are definitely due yours because you've done so much and created so much for the culture. Like, you brought so much to so many of us that may have not seen it in the times when we could have. But we'll get to that in just a moment. So since I said that, let's get started at the beginning. How did your journey in the music business begin in Washington, D.C.?
Born and raised in Washington, D.C., graduated from HBCU, Southern State University. I ended up teaching school, elementary school phys ed, and then I always wanted to own my own business because my parents had laundromats, and I used to work those before I went to college. And I wanted to open my own business, so I opened up an advertising agency called Darryl Brooks Associates. I was very proud of it. And my graphic artist introduced me to some very interesting people in my travels. And one of them was a co-owner of the Bohemian Caverns, which was the big jazz club back in the day in D.C. Also, some incredible artists, a guy named Lloyd McNeil. And what they did at this particular time in D.C., they had just finished having the riots. And the city was also trying to find something for kids to do during some activities. But what these guys wanted to do was introduce a festival called Roberta Flack Day, which was going to honor a great musician who also dealt with education. We had art and education as their mantra. They wanted to try to bring that to the community. So they did this day. Instead of calling it Roberta Flack Day, they called it Human Kindness Day because they said, well, we can use somebody else's name and honor somebody year after year. So 72, they honored Roberta Flack. 73, they honored Dick Gregory. 74, they honored Muhammad Ali and Nina Simone. And in 75, they honored Stevie Wonder.
Nice.
In and through that, you had to get grants. You know, National Endowment had grants. DC Commission always had grants. So those kinds of activities made you had to do fundraisers. And the fundraising element turned us into promoting concerts because our clientele, the kids, neighborhoods, we would give events to have presentations. But my partner wrote a proposal for the government saying, hey, this is a nice idea to do a summer program in the parks because the government during that time was putting out a lot of money. And she did it and they accepted it. And when they accepted it, guess who they called to be executive director?
You.
You know, I'm a school teacher. I'm off during the summer. And I'm dealing with a lot of people with education and arts and that sort of stuff. It was a perfect fit for me. So I did that.
So is that
fundraisers got bigger and bigger.
Right. So,
and then we ended up doing George Clinton. And the show sold out. We had our students working. And in the interim of that, he said, hey, you want to do some more shows? We said, we're nonprofit. We don't have any money. He said, I'll do this. I'll give you all my shows. You just do the same thing you just did and you'll make money. We ended up doing 13 shows. All of them sold out. But I was also introduced to a lot of other groups because the next year I did the same tour. And that's how I met Grandmaster Flash and Furious 5, Sugar Hill Gang. A lot of groups were the opening act for the tour.
So because we kind of skirted over you going from education into this. So at the point when they wrote the grant and the proposal and got it, is that when the nonprofit started, or was it a part of that?
That was a nonprofit organization.
Okay.
Compared to what Incorporated.
Gotcha. So at what point did you realize that you weren't just interested in music, you were interested in more in the business side of it, of the all that you can do with it?
Well, when you say that, the only thing I think about is if you ever have a nonprofit 501c3, you better know how to do some business because the paperwork is ridiculous because the government is not going to let you mess with that money, period. And then when the government changed in 1976, and they took all the money out of all community programs across the country, and they shut down National Endowment for the Arts, and they weren't funding school programs anymore. We turned into a profit-making organization, and that's what we got an organization called Tiger Flower and Company. And Tiger Flower is how we did concerts for money, but we were also basically paying our students and having jobs and taking the same students that we had in the workshops, we helped them get jobs. And we promoted shows to maintain our own lifestyle.
Right. You talked about Parliament Funkadelic being one of the pivotal moments and them asking you to continue on and just to do all their shows. How did working with George Clinton and Parliament Funkadelic shape your understanding of touring and promotions?
Can I tell you, it was a crash course in reality because I had the opportunity and the privilege to be behind the curtain with a genius, with a production that was incredible. That's when he was landing the mothership. I was dealing with major municipalities all up and down the East Coast at the time. We went from DC, from New York all the way down to Florida, doing shows in all the major arenas. We had done shows like in the Armory in DC or, in small theaters. And we played the Capitol Center maybe twice. But now we're playing arenas Greensboro, Charlotte, Atlanta, New York. So you had an opportunity to get involved and have relationships with these different buildings. We learned a lot. And it was like a crash course because we had a major production. Number one, it had to go from city to city. That means we had to deal with trucking, busing, massive amount of equipment, unions, advertising, radio, television, newsprint, dealt with communities doing in stores and different promotional things. All the things we were doing on a small scale in DC with a nonprofit in the parks, then we're doing it on a big platform in cities.
And I think that's
we learned a lot.
Yeah, and I think that's what most people miss because when they hear that, people are promoters or booking agents or things like that, they feel like you just do a small amount of work, but there's so much more, as you just mentioned, behind all of that. And so, because you became a great promoter, what are some of the other misconceptions? You did. I know you did. That's why you're here. But what are some of the other things that people just don't see?
Well, I'll say the following. A promoter's responsibility is to take care of the patron from the time they walk out the house and walk through the door of a venue until they watch a show and then leave. But a lot of preparation comes into play with that. If it's a seated show, the scaling, the union call for the equipment, the number of staff, the ushers, ticket takers. We have to have insurance. It's a lot of things involved with that. But also a lot of things before that with the marketing, radio, television, flyers, beat campaigns, coordinate with record labels, coordinate with managers, artists, road managers. There's a ton of things. And guess what? It happens in a small window of time. Because if you have a show on January 1st, you don't start on December 30th to do the show. You start in November. Mm-hmm. You might even start about October and build to the campaign because you had to do the contracts and all the legal work before they even have the show or before they even commit to do the show. You got to put up deposits and all kinds of logistics. Artists have to fly in or fly out or get their truck in. So you had to, do all that kind of preparation and know what those things are. And then they come to the show. You got to make sure that the artists have those things that they need to do their presentation. Mm-hmm. Great sound, great production, great lights, etc. They have to get in, get out, then you have to load all that stuff out, go to the next venue. But you got to make sure that the patron got what they deserve as far as a great presentation. There's a lot of responsibility. It's not just, throw up a flyer, come to my house and have a party. No, it's not like that.
Right. And it is a lot of responsibility. So did you find that in the beginning, were you just alone by yourself, or did you have to quickly form a team to make sure all this stuff?
We had a team when we were in the park.
Okay.
We had a team when we were doing the nonprofit.
Gotcha.
We were still doing, we did evening concerts 5 days a week when we were in the park for like 4 years. Mm. And then we did Human Kindness Day. We had anywhere between 30,000 to, 300,000 on the monument grounds. Mm-hmm. Did a lot of big stuff. I'll just give you a snapshot. When Stevie Wonder wanted to do the awareness for Martin Luther King's birthday, he did it on the monument grounds. Mm-hmm. We helped him coordinate with the National Park Service to do that presentation.
Nice.
Enormous.
Nice. And it sounds like you had your hand in a lot, and a lot in helping to push the culture forward. You were promoting hip hop when the genre was still new, and many venues was kind of, acting like, well, I don't know, I don't know if we want this here. They didn't really understand. So what were those early days like?
I think the funny part about that for me is like we got Parliament Funkadelic who has maybe $100,000, $200,000 worth of props on stage. Then you had a group that came out with a 8-foot or 6-foot table, 2 turntables with a sponge under it, and they're playing records. And they had sometimes they had people dancing, sometimes they didn't. And some of the audience hated that. So I said, wait a minute, I want to see a band. I want to see that. But no, these guys were rapping and walking around and, saying whatever they say in their lyrics. And a couple of times they got really booed bad. But you had artists like Grandmaster Flash and Furious Pride. Really, who really, to me, took it out was Curtis Blow. Because Curtis Blow had a record called These Are the Breaks. And people loved that. But the thing that made it good for promoters, so Curtis Blow might cost us $2,500, $3,500. He has a hit record. That means we get publicity on radio. He gets in and he gets out. Mm-hmm. And then you got this big production that comes afterwards. So it was easy to have him as an opening act, have another band with all the equipment on stage. So it gradually moved on. And depending upon what part of the country you're in, certain parts of the country didn't want to hear anything, or they want to hear certain types of music, or they had certain artists that were generic to that in their neighborhood. What you play in Boston or in Connecticut, you're not playing in Wyoming or Tennessee. Or the stuff that's playing on the West Coast, you're not playing in Miami. It ain't happening. Mm-mm. But you had to do things to make it compatible for the audience that's there, as well as the headliner hopefully has enough esteem and recognition or marquee value that people want to come see it.
Yeah. There's a well-known story about a venue owners stopping or hesitating to book hip hop shows at the time. How did you overcome that resistance and prove that the audience would come? And I want to hear that. Like, I know the story, but I want everyone else to know the story.
One of the things that's kind of crazy, I did all 3 of Public Enemy's tours back in the day. And I also did NWA's tour at the very beginning. I did a lot of press conferences. I did a lot of meetings with municipalities, building managers in advance, having conversations. I would take the guys, 1 or 2 of the guys like Ice-T or Ice Cube or whoever would run with me. I took Flavor and Chuck D. We would go meet these people in advance and have conversations with them and let them know we're not a gang. We're not drug dealers. 18, 19, 20, 21-year-old artists who are talking about the things that happen in their neighborhood. And people want to hear that. So we did those kinds of things to try to prep it. I ended up doing this show in Philadelphia at the Spectrum at the time. I'm very excited. The show is sold out. I'm taking the building manager and one of his staff members. I want him to see the show and get a feel of what I've been telling him about when I got there. We go down the hallway. He sees a kid with a gold chain around his neck. He tells security, throw him out. He's a gang. Whoa. He's not a gang. He's not in a gang. Wow. Slow down. It's all right. But they talk to the guy. I'm saying, it's not necessary. So then I get him into the building where the show is. Public Enemy starts saying, fight the power. This guy, who was Caucasian, turned red, screaming, it's going to be a riot. It's going to be a riot. Darryl, you got to stop this. You got to stop. I'm up here holding him. No. This is a song from a movie. It's nothing but, it's one of their hits.
Right.
And I had to slow him down. So yes, from a cultural standpoint, a whole lot of dialogue and communication had to transpire to step it up. And one of the deals we had with NWA at the time, when they had that record called Bump the Police, we had a deal with them where if you sing their song, it's going to cost you $25,000 and you'll be off the tour. Well, they honored that until the last day.
Wow.
And that happened in Detroit. And that story will take us all the way to the end. So I don't want to tell you that story.
Well, I definitely want to hear that story. So we may circle back around to that.
That story will take you out.
We'll continue with this amazing conversation with Darryl Brooks in just a moment. Before we get back to our conversation, I want to take a moment to recognize the sponsor for this episode. Smoke and Ice is proud to partner with Remus Bourbon. This brand is inspired by George Remus, the Prohibition-era figure often called the king of the bootleggers, who operated right around the Cincinnati area in the 1920s. Today, Remus Bourbon is produced at the historic Ross and Squibb Distillery in Lawrenceburg, Indiana. It's just a few miles from Cincinnati, by the way. The distillery is part of MGP, one of the most respected whiskey producers in the country, known for its long tradition of crafting high-quality American spirits. At Ross and Squibb, the bourbon is made using carefully selected grains and traditional distilling methods, then aged for years in charred American oak barrels to develop the rich character the Remus brand is known for. Over the next month here on Smoke and Ice, we'll be highlighting a few selections from the Remus portfolio and exploring the craftsmanship behind the bourbons. Tonight's feature is Remus Straight Bourbon. It opens on the nose with aromas of vanilla, caramel, and toasted oak. On the palate, you'll notice smooth baking spice, warm oak, and balanced sweetness that makes it easy to sip and really enjoyable. The finish is warm and smooth with just enough lingering character to make it perfect for a good conversation like the one we're about to have. We're excited to showcase the Remus brand here on Smoke and Ice and look forward to sharing more of their bourbons with you in the coming weeks. And as always, please enjoy responsibly. And of course, after talking about how great this bourbon is, then we definitely have to go on ahead and pour it and partake in it. So, cheers to you, and remember, drink responsibly. So I definitely get, before I sip, the sweet notes that I talked about, the vanilla, the caramel, everything else, but it's very, very smooth and very good. So if you want a great bourbon, make sure to get the Remus straight bourbon. It is very, very good. But of course, we cannot talk about smoke and ice without acknowledging our cigar. Tonight's cigar is provided by Joker Smoker, our official cigar sponsor. The featured cigar this evening is the Acid Cuba Cuba Maduro by Drew Estates. Now, if you know us, if you've been watching us, especially from the first season, we do a lot of cigars by Drew Estates. And I think someone even said we might do too many infused cigars, but we really don't. It's just the ones you watch. So make sure you watch all of them and you see that it was only a couple that were infused. However, this cigar is known for its rich aroma and smooth draw. The Cuba Cuba Maduro delivers a unique infused smoking experience with deep notes of sweetness, earth, and subtle spice that pairs beautifully with the bourbon we're enjoying tonight. We want to thank Joker Smoker. Thank you, Ali. Thank you for your staff for being a proud supporter of Smoke and Ice and helping us bring the full experience to our viewers. So let's light up. How about that? Yep, I got one back here. We're gonna do it together. Oh, please, for excellent customer service. And it is. It's a very medium bodied, which Maduros are mostly. They're not very heavy. A nice pull. I like it. Not too peppery, and I like it. This is one I like. I like this acid. But I just finished standing on a soapbox, and I think this one is infused because it's a little sweet to me when I pull. However, I don't mind it because being open and having variety is good for me. So it's all good. But guess what? We're going to continue with some great conversation in just a moment. And Smoke and Ice continues next.
Hi, I'm Kelly Allen. Join me each weekday from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. for Midday Energy Rush on Positive365.net. I'll bring you all your favorite music from every genre and every decade, plus comedy and positive thoughts all in one place. Go to Positive365.net and you won't be disappointed. That's Positive365.net. We're positively different.
Positively different. Positive 365.
So you've worked with pioneers like Sugar Hill Gang, Grandmaster Flash, Dougie Fresh, Big Daddy Kane. What was it like touring with artists who literally are defining a new genre of music?
It was like it was a brand new frontier. Some of these guys had never been outside of New York or Philly. You know, some of them had never been out of North Carolina. And they packed up with a bag with hopes and dreams of, dreams with sugar plums dancing in their head.
Yeah.
They were popular. They were getting a free meal. They were getting food. They were traveling. They were seeing the world.
Yeah.
And some of them were rowdy. Some of them weren't. Some of them were very comfortable and very enthusiastic to try to figure out what this music business was about, what entertainment was about. The production guys were excited. And you had some guys who were a little on the blue side, but you knew who they were. You always got, a certain percentage of knuckleheads. I'm going to say this. Now, I'm not going to tell you the name of the group. So, by me traveling with a caravan of artists, I decided to ride on different buses. Being socialized with the guys, da-da-da-da. So one time, we just left a show, and we're heading to another city. And my bus driver, because I had my own bus, my bus driver said, "Darryl, one of your guys are off on the side of the road. You want to get him?" I said, "Let's find out who it is." So they did the walkie-talkie stuff. And they said it was too short. I said, "Okay, let's back up and see what's going on." I go back, And the manager comes on and Too Short comes on. They said, hey, man, they had a flat tire. Driver said it'll take him maybe 2 or 3 hours, but he catch up with us at next gig. I let the guys, get on my bus. Well, on my bus got bunks, everybody's full. I'm sleeping on the sofa or laying on the sofa. So here these guys laying on the floor. I looked down them on the floor as we took off. I said, now you know what it feels like. Your mother told you to stay in school. But look at you now, laying on the floor in a bus. Look at you. You should have stayed in school. And that's been an ongoing joke. I was on another bus another time, and these guys said we just broke dawn probably around 6, 7, maybe 5 or 6 in the morning. Daybreak's coming, and they said, "Man, we want to shoot." I'm saying, "Shoot what?" They said, "Brooks, you got to get up off that sofa right there." They lift up the pad up under me. They had a bunch of rifles and guns, and they started shooting at a farm with some cows. I said, whoa, man, what you doing?
Wow.
Get on the bus. We ain't got time for this. And they said, okay, Brooks, they got on the bus. But I'm saying, the hell y'all carrying up these guns for? Yeah, man, we just want to be prepared. I said, oh my God. I've been reading too many newspapers to decide how this works. Then I go on another bus. Guys were like the best. It was the Fresh Prince. It was Jazzy Jeff and Fresh Prince.
Wow.
That bus was great. So it was a different vibe.
Right. Different
I've
vibe,
been on the
different
bus
people.
with girls too, because I was part of the management team of Salt and Pepper.
Right.
Man, I basically stayed to myself because they talk about hair, they talk about babies, they talk about clothes, and I didn't want to hear that.
You wasn't into all of that. So wait. I want to back up just slightly. I want to back up just slightly because we were talking about NWA, and I think there was a conversation we had before where you were talking about you brought up After Police and all that other stuff, but there was a concert where it wasn't Ice Cube, it wasn't NWA, wasn't none of them that got in trouble. Who got in trouble?
So we go to Cincinnati, and they got these ordinances that you can't do this, you can't do that, no gyration, no profanity. And in the order of a show, we had acts, before you get to the headline act. Well, we were on tour with a group called Kid and Play. Great group. 2 guys. They've been in movies. They had cartoons. They had comic books. When they came on, the police and the sheriff was on the side of the stage. I'm saying it's going to be easy there because I had just flown back with Ice T, the Ice Cube, and Ren from doing an in-store at another city to prepare us to go to that city. So we just flew back in town, and we talked about it. So I'm at the show, and who they arrest? They arrest Kid and Play. I'm saying, what?
Right.
And Easy and them said, man, what is that? They're the nicest kids on
the most vanilla
what
on the
are they arresting
tour.
them for?
Right.
But they arrested them because Play and them were gyrating on stage.
Wow.
And they use it as a criteria to arrest them. That was one of the jokes of the tour for the rest of the tour. Because they hadn't even got to the heavy part yet.
They certainly did not, because they were like we said, they were the nicest, the most vanilla, the most
nicest kid.
PG. You could take your kids to see them, everything.
All day.
So when did you look back?
You had to see it to believe it.
Right. So when you look back now, did you realize at the time that hip hop would grow into this global culture it is today?
What I did realize is that how influential it was, because I had the privilege and the pleasure of doing Run DMC's Raising Hell tour. I was tied into Russell Simmons, Leora Cohen, who's now running YouTube, and a lot of good people and a lot of good groups that came out of Def Jam's camp. When you see and go to the communities and watch the influence that they had, I was there when they did the run, raise your sneakers and show your Adidas. And they got a big Adidas deal. I saw what wardrobe meant. I saw what costume meant. I knew what the influence of. The Kid and Play did a Sprite commercial, and they played it during regular commercial time, but they broke it out at the NBA All-Star Weekend. Mm-hmm. So I realized what commercial and corporations needed and the influence of the demos that they were attracting. So they were utilized, and there was a mesh there. At first, it was kind of disjointed because corporate America didn't know what to do with Did we touch it or should we not touch it? And also the hip hop guys, I'm not going to touch that. I don't deal with that. But once somebody figured it out, wait a minute, this can work. This can merge together. Look at the sponsorship. Look at the revenue that has transpired the last 20, 30 years. Look what Kanye's done. Look what Master P's done. Look what Run DMC, look at what they've done to the commercial side of this business through hip hop and rap.
Yeah.
Incredible.
Very incredible. But we gonna go back just a little bit more into what you were talking about. We were talking about Salt and Pepper, and we're gonna bring the ladies into this because ladies have now and they are some of the pioneers along with Queen Latifah and everything else who have made it possible for some of these female, and we don't even call them MCs anymore. You know, now they're just I don't know what this genre has transformed into. They're artists. Everybody's an artist, but you know, we all want to put them into some genre to fit them into what we want or what we feel we like to listen to. And so, you know, that kind of helps some people. And I get it. We're all artists, right? In some fashion or form. But with working with one of the most influential hip hop groups of all time, Salt and Pepper, what was it like being part of their journey?
It was respectful. I thought it was pioneering because I watched them grow and realize it's like going to college. You're a freshman, you're trying to find your way or trying to get a definition of who you are and what it is to you. By the time you're a sophomore, a little more sure-footed, but when you get to be a junior and a senior, you're really focused and laser focused. Some students fail, some students don't. But I can tell you, I've been involved with Erykah Badu, for example. This 2000. I've been involved with Salt and Pepper when they had their second single, when they did Pushing all those records. I was on the road with Queen Latifah, MC Light, you know, Mary Jane Girls when they were out with Rick James. I've seen the difference in the caliber of and quality of their development. Very respectful. Imagine, I never would imagine MC Light being the narrator of major TV award shows.
Every award show, and
When
I
I
hear
see-
that voice
I did
and I
shows
say, oh my
with-
gosh.
Yeah, I did shows with Queen Latifah in arenas and outdoor amphitheaters. Now I see her on television being a cop. Whoa. You know, it makes you stop and scratch your head. But I've also witnessed Salt and Pepper. They had a live show. Watch this. I'm sitting at a conference down in Atlanta, and Flavor Flav runs up to me, and man, we're going to have a TV show. It's called A Flavor of Love. I was saying, man, get out of here. I said, what kind of show is that? He said, man, I'm going to choose what kind of girl I want to be with. I'm laughing like, Flavor, come on. Flavor plays 5 instruments. He's a very intelligent guy. His persona gets him through the door. But now you look at him today. He's representing the Olympics. He's doing a lot of stuff. But back then, he was Flavor Flav, the front man for Public Enemy.
Right.
So, watch this. I watched the development of a lot of great artists. And it was my pleasure to be on the front row.
That's amazing. That's amazing. And it's good that you acknowledge the extension of who these people are, because, you know, growing up, when you see Flavor Flav, you just see him as a hype man. You don't know that he played 5 instruments. You don't know that he can walk into any room and he can take over. He can command his space. And a lot of these people are like that, from Snoop Dogg. I mean, who would have ever thought that Snoop and Martha Stewart would partner up? You know what I'm saying? Looking at where you thought he came from. But a lot of these people have the knowledge and the base. This is artistry. And we lose that and think that they are one faceted instead of being multifaceted, and that they have the ability to do so much more. And it's great that you have the opportunity to be a part of that, to realize that, and to help them along in that process.
We were part of Maya's first album when she came out to present her first album. We were her manager. And I used to watch her on BET, on Rap City, wherever the program was on. Teen Summit, I think the program was called. And she was a dancer. I also knew her father. So I'm watching Maya, and my partner, that a lawyer called up and said, hey, they want us to get involved with possibly be her manager. Yeah, let's go see her. Let's see what she can do. He was tap dancing at a recital in the Department of Agriculture. I'm watching her stage presence and her persona, her personality. I said, yes, we could do this. Because I know what it takes to do the presentation, what's happening on stage. And he had a hit record that was produced by Hawk Islam and the boy with Blue Hill, Cisco.
Cisco, right.
And it was incredible. And then I had a relationship because we had done it earlier. I had a relationship with agents and stuff. We ended up getting on tour. Very proud. But then we had to kind of coach her and talk to her to get involved with Lady Marmalade. Because at first she didn't want to do that. But when you come out the nest and get a little footing, sometimes you need a little nudge and get that confidence up and say, okay, I can handle this. They ended up getting a Grammy and did all kinds of stuff. So to watch those kinds of development over the years, to be honest, it's been incredible.
I drove all the way to Virginia Beach because there was a concert. It had total a bunch of different acts, but Maya was on there. And I hated where they put her because she was the best on the tour. When I saw her, I was like, that's it? That's all you're going to give us? She's phenomenal. And because of my background and coming from a performing arts school like she did and having all of the different things, she runs circles around anybody that she's on tour with because she has the stage presence. She has the voice. She can dance. She can do everything. She's like a total package. Right. And so to be, and I said, well, why'd y'all put her there? Like, I wanted to go up to the promoter and be like, that's wrong. But I knew I couldn't get access to him. Like, don't put her there. She shouldn't be there.
I've seen her dance with Savion Glover.
Wow.
Okay. The girl's a hoofer.
She is a hoofer.
Period.
Yes.
Period. Erykah Badu is a dancer.
Uh-huh.
She was in performing arts school.
Yeah.
I mean, I can go on and on with different players that would make you scratch your head like, what?
No.
Yes.
But see, I can read it because I'm one of those. I come from that same camp. So when I see him, I'll be like, oh, okay, I see where you came from, you know. But you said that relationships were everything in the music business. Can you explain what that meant during the early years of hip hop promotion?
Number one, they were concerned because they didn't know what it was.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? It's like having somebody new moving into your neighborhood. I'm used to wrestlers. I'm used to rodeo. I'm used to rock and roll. I'm used to R&B and jazz. But what are these? What is this? What does it do? The stage had to know what to do. All they had to do was put up a table and plug in a record player.
Right.
What is that? Does it work? Do people want to see that? So it had to do that. But at the same time, when it had problems, I had buildings that wasn't going to let Public Enemy in because one of the guys said something about Jewish people. And my insurance went from 25 or 35 cents a head to $1.25 a head. Mm-hmm. I had to talk to builders saying, hey, there's not going to be any problems. There won't be any fights. You know, they had to talk to them. They had to trust you because they protect the municipality's property.
Right.
And in my own hometown, Washington, D.C., they wouldn't let go-go come into these buildings because they said that's street music, that's ghetto music, blah, 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 whatever they called it. The building council, one of my shows, because there was a problem in Maryland, the suburb of Maryland, and they said, we're not having it. And they canceled my show before I even knew it. They never let my tickets go on sale. So we did a show called Go-Go Live at the Capitol Center back in '87. We had been putting go-go groups on the show, but we didn't banner them in the advertisement with big banners. But there was a situation that transpired in DC where somebody had done a movie called Good to Go, and the movie was not the best. And the guys that played in the movies, who were my friends I watched over the years, they were very upset because they talked about guns and sex and drugs and all that kind of stuff. I said, man, bunk that. We do our own movie. We do our own stuff. Let's set up and get together and do that. And we did this show called Go-Go Live at the Capitol Center. We did the show. Show was sold out. We ended up producing maybe about 30,000 VHS tapes and sold them. And it's still talked about today. But if we had to talk to the building and promise them, there's not going to be any problem. We know these people. We know the families. We had mothers and grandmothers who had prepped their kids, had them dressed to the max. You should get a chance. If you get a chance to see that, go online. It's on YouTube now. Go live at the campus on 87 and see what we did. The city still talks about it today.
Wow. So
The relationships.
yeah, and forming those relationships, was there ever a time when the budget may have been tight, and because of those relationships?
All right, I know what you're asking me.
Yeah,
I know what you're asking. I was in Greensboro, North Carolina, and I lost my buckets. I'll be nice. We did a show where the headline artist was War, had a problem in Texas. 2 weeks before this was to come to Greensboro, and they came off the tour. All I had was the Floaters, New Birth, and maybe another group, but not enough strong enough show to play an arena. So we called, since we know how builders deal, we called the building and said, hey, we might have to cancel the show. He said, what's the problem? Well, the headline act's not going to be able to make it because they had a problem in Texas. He said, this is the best thing that could happen because number one, your building is your best friend. You and I are in business together. Acts come and go, but we're going to be here. And if you continue to do business, you're always welcome to come. We will help you do the show. They pulled all the stops out. They tied into the city, to the record label, to the radio station. We did a parade down Main Street in Greensboro. At the end of the show, we lost probably about $20,000, $30,000.
Oh.
Back then, there was a lot of money.
That's a lot.
The guy gave us like $3 grand and said, hey, here's some money. Get home. And anytime you want to come back, let us know. That ended up being our second greatest market because we kept bringing shows down there. We ended up doing like 3 shows of Prince down there. We did Luther Vandross down there. A lot of shows there. But it was because of relationship and trust.
Right. Awesome.
If you're about your word, it means more than anything.
And that's all it is. And we get away from that because now everything is, and you should have contracts, right? But back in the day, it was about your word. It was about that handshake. It was about who you were and your reputation as a person. And that meant so much more than what you could ever put down on paper. And we've gotten so far away from that because people have become so shady and so shisty about everything that they're doing that now you have to have it written in black and white in order to make sure you have a good contract. And that's just so crazy because before it was just, I know you, who you are. I know your character. I know what you're going to do for me. So let's do this and we can do this together. And it was a mutual thing. And so it's just so sad. It's upsetting how now everything has turned into we can't trust anybody because everybody's out for themselves. And that's just so crazy. But I'll leave that there because that's my whole other soapbox and I can go.
Let me just throw this one thing out there to you. A building's reputation means a lot to them.
Uh-huh.
Because if you have shows that cancel or the sound's bad or it doesn't function properly, the building becomes, they don't want to do it.
Right.
People won't respect the building anymore.
Right.
So that's the partnership there. I don't want to go to a building that had 2 council shows because then people are going to hesitate to buy the tickets because they said, I'm not going to go.
Right.
Or I'm going to have to wait till the last minute to make sure the trucks are out back before I come through the door because I don't want them to tap my money and tell me, well, the show is canceled, I had to wait and go back to the ticketing place to get my money back. Well, it has a lot to do with they have responsibility too. Mm-hmm. That's why I say the building manager said, we are partners. I got to protect you and you protect me and we'll do business together.
Yeah. Yeah. So as co-owner of CD Enterprises, what was your mission when it came to promoting artists and events?
Be successful and make money. Get a chance to do it again.
I got you. As you've seen the industry change from even physical records to streaming and social media, what were the biggest changes that you witnessed?
Radio was a driving force for a long time. Mm. But now it's like, watch this, I'll do it this way. When I was growing up, there was only 4 channels. ABC, NBC, CBS, and Independent.
Right.
You know how many stations out there now? Hundreds. Mm-hmm. You can do anything. Tomorrow morning, I could have my own station online. So it's diverse, and the attention span of that generation is not the same as the attention span as the older generation. All right, it's a difference between doing the Isley Brothers or OJ show versus Kevin Hart or I don't know, Run DMC, or even go further to NBA YoungBoy. Baby, the babies, whatever. It's different audience altogether.
Baby.
And they have a different criteria.
Right.
And they have a different way of communicating. They just do. So you have to be aware of that, and also the clientele or the demo that you're marketing towards, because some people don't want seats. Some people got to have a seat. You just got to do that. To me, watching the production, imagine doing a production that Prince did with Purple Rain. Incredible. George Clinton with Land the Mothership. Incredible. Now you got the Travis Scott with explosions, but he's doing stadium. There's an audience for that. Right. And if you go to Europe, DJs, techno DJs, take over fields with production.
Definitely.
So, you got to know where you're at. At one time, we did a show across theaters with a group called Three Mo Tenors, who sang like 5 genres of music: gospel, jazz, rock, R&B. And in this presentation, they were on PBS. So it was a real good presentation. But they couldn't go into certain areas. But then we turned around and played Jill Scott with the Atlantic Orchestra. Incredible.
Whoa.
Incredible.
She's incredible. So
and I forgot to tell you somebody else I dealt with. Stephen Morris. His name is Stevie Wonder to most.
Yes.
We did fundraisers as well as concert with Stevie Wonder. Had the privilege to listen to him play some of his music before he let it out. You know what I mean? So George Clinton gave me music that he hadn't let out yet. So you had the privilege of being and feeling all those kinds of situations. Or watching Anita Bacon and Luther Vandross not talk to each other because they were like oil and water. But the show to the audience was incredible. Right. But backstage, yeah. It was like, but you see these things. Right. And to be honest, from a concert standpoint, I've also done Power Rangers. I've also done Lucha Libre, Mexican wrestling. I've also done rodeos. Wow. I'm not just a one-trick pony, baby.
Listen, I love it. Listen, and so before we get back to the other hats that you wear and not a one-trick pony, do you feel like our new artists not knowing where they should be is the biggest mistake that they make? Because a lot of times you feel like I'm special, I can just go wherever I want to go. And do you feel like that's the issue?
Well, I was just saying, to answer your question, Barry Gordy had like a grooming school, a step program of what you had to do before they even put you on the bus or take you on the stage or let you perform. They taught them how to walk. They taught them how to talk. How to be polite. Several other organizations did that. I think Tom Bell did that. They just made sure their presentation, I think Gamble and Huff might have done the same thing. You had to be prepared to go out into the world and represent yourself. Record label used to have A&R, arts and repertoire, and people who would guide them and coach. They had speaking coaches. They had all kinds of, we call interview coaches. Right now, I can do a record in my basement, run out the front door with my Timberlands on, a joint in my mouth, and be a big star and don't have a clue. All I got to do is cuss, smoke a joint, and walk out the door. And then, remember, had the mumble rappers, nobody know what they were talking about.
Mumble rapping.
So that wouldn't have happened then. But, we've been through that era, and now I think people are now going back. I need more quality instead of quantity. Right. And record labels also had a period of trying to dumb down the audience. Because when rap first came out, they were telling stories and positive things that aid and develop the community. They gave you something to focus on. The KRS-One, right? The Public Enemy,
But they were positive.
Record labels stopped that. All of a sudden, they didn't want anybody to organize. They didn't want anybody to be smart. they hate that word woke. So they went for the dumb stuff.
Right.
Give me drugs, give me sex. I need to feel in penitentiaries. I need to get labors. I don't want anybody to be smart.
But let's get back. You founded I Hear Ya Entertainment. Love it. I Hear Ya Entertainment. I love it. What inspired you to launch your own label and platform?
Well, the first one we did was an answer to Go Go Live at the Capitol Center. And to release that project that we did a cassette because they hadn't had DVDs and all that stuff during that time period. And we did VHS.
Okay.
And that was on I Hear Ya. And I was always coming up with names. I was a marketing guy. I was a PR guy. So somebody said, well, what you going to name the label? I said, I Hear Ya. Because that was a slang that was in the street. What's happening, man? I hear you. So when COVID came, I said, we couldn't do shows. I said, let me reactivate this label. Let me do some stuff with locally and just reactivate this company. And I did. And that's when I started. I did stuff with Junkyard Band, a We Are One Experience, EU, Sugar Bear, Scooby, Serious Company. And I did a great project with a friend of mine who just passed 3 days ago named Mousy Tompkins. And he used to be a drummer for James Brown for 15 years.
Okay.
And this project we did as a joke to ourselves, make ourselves happy, as well as stay in the conscious mode, was called Say It Loud. But we put lyrics to it. If Denver I think I said it to Denver. I think you guys have it. If you get a chance to play that, please do. Say it loud. I'm black and I'm proud. But it's DC style, go-go style.
Right. So I'm going to fast forward just slightly a little bit. So when you look back at your career, what moments stand out as the ones that define your journey?
My kids are all good. Graduated. I got 13 great grandchildren. My house is paid for.
That part.
I'm doing all right. Had opportunity to work with Stevie Wonder to try to make Martin Luther King's holiday a national holiday. I was a part of Prince when he did Purple Rain, and I think I went pioneering the hip hop world, touring with Run DMC, Houdini, LL Cool J, Public Enemy across country, introducing the West Coast rappers to the East Coast with MC Hammer, Too Short, DJ Quick, Dr. Dre, Tupac, that crew. Eazy was a great guy. Sorry, he passed.
Yeah.
But Eazy was a great guy. A little scrapper, a good dude. It was a pleasure working with Kid and Play and being part of their management team. And when they were doing movies, if you ever look at Class Act, I played the father.
You know what? Because that's what, listen, I still to this day, I'm an old school. I go through my blaxploitation phase where I watch Rudy Ray Moore and everything else all day long. Okay. And then I'll go back to all of my, when I was growing up. So Class Acts, House Party, all of those different movies. And you know what? I was wondering, I was like, why? And you know what? You might be, you're right. You're right. That's why I know you.
I'm the one that plays the father that comes down the steps when kid goes to take the girl out to go to the I run downstairs, I open up the door, she slams me and I walk back upstairs.
Yes, Demeter.
Every time, they wouldn't let me talk.
Yeah, Demeter.
When they did this Kid and Play movie, when you see Whoopi Goldberg in the beginning, I'm the one that asked Whoopi to play that role and come over to the set.
Oh,
and
nice.
She did as a favor for me because I did for her. I helped her do her daughter's birthday party in a nightclub in DC when she turned 16 or 18 years old.
That was House Party 3,
so I did a party
right?
for her.
That was, I think, the third one. That was the House Party 3. 2. It was 2. Okay, my bad.
That's when Whoopi came out.
Okay.
In the very beginning of the movie.
Okay.
And if you see at the end of the movie the credits, we're the last thing on the credits. Darryl Brooks and Carol Kirkendall.
Nice. What keeps you still into the music industry? What keeps you tied in and still excited about it all?
I think it's delivering quality shows, quality presentations for the community, sharing artistry of my people, to my people, or to people in general. As I said, I've been touring Erykah Badu for a number of years. I like the reaction of the audience and how they connect with her and vice versa. I just finished doing Kim in DC. I just knocked out a real crazy show with a guy named October London.
Yeah.
I see what the future's going to be like. He's an incredible artist.
He's amazing.
Just finished doing a show with Robert Glasper in the theater. So when you see quality entertainment and the things that we can do and being a part of it, I like it.
So I hear all the stuff that you're doing. So what do you have next coming up?
I'm working on product for the record label. I got a couple of shows coming later on in the year. Anthony Hamilton, one of your North Carolina guys.
Mm-hmm.
A couple others that I'm not talking about yet, but
When it's ready, it's ready.
I got a couple of go-go shows I'm working on.
Okay. And I just want,
I'm mentally, watch this, and let me be honest, I'm mentally semi-retired because big corporations have sucked up all the fruit off the vines and they're controlling the food. So there's certain specific things that I've gone after and I've been able to obtain from relationships.
Right.
And
I was going to say, do you ever retire? Because those relationships hold a lot more than these big corporations, to be quite honest.
if someone called me and said, "God, I need some help," I'd be there. I ended up on the phone yesterday for about an hour with Kid Capri. Kid Capri and I did business together when he was doing Def Comedy Jam, and he's also the DJ doing Salt and Pepper's theater tour. Just had a long conversation. I ran into Curtis Blow at an event in New York. Curtis and I loved and talked to each other for days.
Right.
You know, so those kind of things make me smile. I could have called out of nowhere from Cool Mo D. Just checking in on y'all, big brother. Okay. You know, I like that.
Right.
You know, it makes me feel good. Now, some guys, they ain't never call me. They probably never will.
And you know what? It's because
that's
they
who they
don't
are.
need to.
And they'll holler at me if they get close.
Right. And that's good. And that's because you develop relationships. But I want to thank you for giving us a look behind the curtain of the music business tonight. Listen, your journey reminds us that some of the most important voices in the industry are often the ones working behind the scenes. Those voices help shape the careers, the culture, and the music that we all enjoy. So to everyone who's watching and listening, thank you for joining us here. Make sure you like, subscribe, and share, because if you do not, we can't be here. And I enjoy being here with you. Until next time, I'm Kelly Allen.
Darryl Brooks.
Let's spark something real.
God bless.
Smoke and ice, twice as nice. I'm your vice. Smoke and ice.
We hope you've enjoyed Smoke and Ice with Kelly and Wayne. Make sure you share, like, and subscribe. Tell a friend so they too can be informed and entertained. For more information about the show, go to smokeandice.net.